Hello, everyone. Welcome to Small Biz Tips. So I met this guy, I think like Jesus, 3, 4 years ago, at a networking group online. It was on Zoom before everybody was using Zoom, and he was freaking awesome. So we chatted, we stay in touch, we've done some work together, and I always wanted to bring him to the pod, and we finally had a chance to do that. What's going on, Mark?
Hey, Gilbert, how you doing? Appreciate you having me. Thank you.
Thank you for coming in, brother. I can't wait for you to share everything you got going on. But before we start, who is Mark?
Just your regular neighborhood Spider-Man. He's Marc Brookland. I'm the owner of SEO Locale. We're a full-service digital marketing agency based out of Philadelphia. But our specialty is search engine optimization. Uh,
Nice.
Specifically, local search is really where we tend to kill for our clients.
Okay. Okay. So before we talk about SEO and local searches, because I got a lot of questions on that, right? You said you're from Brooklyn?
No, I was born and raised in Philadelphia. The old story is
Oh,
the story is that my great grandfather immigrated here and
wow.
he was going to Brooklyn. So when he came in
Wow.
through Ellis Island, they asked him what his name was. He said his name was Brooklyn. That's the story. Probably not true, but it's a fun
Oh,
story.
man. So how'd you even get into digital marketing, man?
Dude, I woke up and all of a sudden I was just SEOing stuff. Is how it seems. I got an internship at the time it was a small web design and development firm in
Mhm.
Philadelphia. O3 World, incredible work.
Okay.
I was doing project management there, and part of the job that I was doing for my boss was a lot of analytical stuff. So I was looking
Mm.
at the analytics once we would launch a website, looking at the traffic that was coming into the website, where it's coming from, how they would
Mhm.
navigate through. And I would take notes and make recommendations on how we might be able to improve the user experience.
Yeah.
And I loved it. I thought it was the coolest thing. Um, and so my boss told me, if you like doing this, then you want to get into SEO. I had no
Huh.
idea what it was. So I learned a little bit about it. I got a job at an SEO company, learned everything I could.
Mm.
Um, Now I'm here.
Wow. So for people that don't know, right? Because you hear that term SEO a lot, but nobody really actually knows sometimes. What the hell is SEO? What is search engine optimization? What is that?
The simplest way I can put it is the practice of getting your website found as highly as possible in search
Mhm.
engines for the keywords that are relevant for your business product and services.
Okay. Give me an example, right? Let's say I'm John, I started a business and everybody tell me to get a website. So I got some guy to on Fiverr to create a website for me. It's pretty,
Mhm.
it's nice, but nobody never go there. I keep
Right.
telling people go to my website, but nobody actually go there. They just call me.
Mhm.
So how does like SEO help me?
Right. So SEO is supposed to connect you to customers that you otherwise wouldn't have.
Mm,
People who are looking for a plumber or a roofer or an SEO agency or a
yeah.
LinkedIn specialist. People are Googling for these types of services all the time. And we
Mhm.
have that data to provide us with the information to let us know what are those keywords that
Mm,
your prospects are searching for on the internet. So once you identify those keywords, you can create a strategy to help search engines understand what your website is about and
yeah.
why it would make sense for them to rank your website at the top of their search results for that particular user. So once
Mm,
you can create that strategy and then someone looks up SEO Philadelphia, that's why they're going to see SEO Locale pop up.
gotcha. Gotcha. Now that makes sense. So it's really about knowing what your client's looking for and be able to index your website for those specific keywords.
It's all about keyword research. It's the most important part of any SEO strategy, any digital marketing strategy.
Huh. I want to go a step further, right? Right. Let's say you're listening, like we have our audience is 99% entrepreneurs.
Mhm.
Let's say someone's listening, they're like, you know what? I spoke to somebody about this SEO thing. They got it set up for me, but it's been 4 months and we seen nothing. Can you talk about that? Why does it take
Hear it all the
time for
time.
SEO to work?
It's a little bit of a loaded question. There's a few different answers that it could be. The first thing that it could be
Mhm.
that the keywords that they've identified you are the wrong ones.
Okay.
Some agencies, believe it or not, they don't even do the research. They ask
Oh,
you as the client, what keywords do you want to rank for? How are you supposed to know? You have no idea. You're guessing. So
yeah.
without having that concrete data, you don't know what keywords you want to rank for. So it could be that that they're targeting the wrong things altogether.
Hmm.
Um, so if all of that is wrong, then the rest of the strategy is going to be wrong. The other thing that it could just be is you have the right keywords, you have the right strategy. It's just that because Google is so great, it takes time for Google to trust your website and feel confident in them saying, we know that if we put your website first,
Yeah.
our customers are going to have a good experience with your website. And that
Gotcha.
trust takes time. So that's why you might notice that a lot of times when you do a search, Google
Yeah.
oftentimes will favor some larger brands, Wikipedia,
Yeah.
Forbes,
Hmm.
some major news outlets, government websites. That's why a lot of times you see health websites are another big one. A lot of those websites oftentimes get a little bit extra of a nod because they know this is a reliable source. We know that this is going to help the end user. So it takes time for them to really trust you
Okay.
as a website.
Huh. That is super valuable because a lot of people they'll spend money on SEO. They don't know much about it, so they're relying on the agency. And if the agency don't know what they're doing, that might screw them over. But sometimes it just takes time because, you know, they got to build that trust, just like anything else. It's a relationship. Now, what have you seen happen from your client base once that trust is built? Like, what are some of the success stories you've seen happen once that trust is built?
What any agency should be able to show their client, no matter what, from month one all the way through month, say 12, for example, is step by step progress and improvement. Because even though you're building trust with Google,
Mm,
that doesn't mean you go from not ranking to number one. That doesn't happen. What
mm,
happens is you go from not ranking to now you're ranking on page 10. Now you're
gotcha.
on page 7, now 6, now 3, now 1. So that progress happens.
Mm,
And that's what any agency should be able to show their clients. And that's how you can prove that Google is slowly starting to trust your website because you're putting out the right information. You're
yeah.
providing a good experience. You're giving the end user the answers that they need that's going to solve their problems. So that's the type of progression that you can show. You can show that through keyword rankings. You can show that through
Mhm.
organic traffic. There's a billion third-party tools that exist that can help you show that progress of keywords and traffic. So that's how you can prove that. Typically, when I'm talking to clients, I always say, no matter what, even though in my brain I think it might take a little bit less time, I will say you should expect 6 months.
Gotcha. Now that's a good time frame, so people kind of have an idea. And that 6 month doesn't mean they're gonna get like 1,000 leads coming in. They might get one, two, three.
No, you're right. Yeah, you're 100% right. It's a progressive type of service. So what I always have to try to explain is you're going to be paying for SEO services. Let's just say you're paying $500 a month. You're
Mm-hmm.
going to invest $2,000 to $3,000 into this before you start to get leads coming
Mm-hmm.
in. And typically, when businesses get 1 or 2 or 3 leads a month, that can usually pay for most of those
Yeah.
expenses. And that's what we at SEO Locale really try to work with the client to understand how much is a client worth to you. I like
Mm-hmm.
to try to make it where you get 1 lead a month, you're more than good.
Gotcha. Now that is
Um,
super valuable. So that means
yeah.
those leads are even more qualified because these people were actually looking and want your services.
Absolutely. They're much lower in that sales funnel because they are looking specifically for your product or service.
Mhm. Wow, that is super powerful. Now, I guess my question to you is, you mentioned earlier about local SEO. So is there like a local SEO and a national SEO?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. International
Tell us about
SEO.
that.
Man, it's the wild, wild west. It all depends what you're trying to do. If you want to focus locally, now it's
Mhm.
organic search. So there's no rule technically. There's no geofence that you can put on a search engine that says I
Mm.
strictly want people in Philadelphia, and you won't show up in South Jersey, or right outside the city lines.
Yeah.
Um, but what you can do is do your best to send the signals to Google that's letting them, or any search engine, letting them know this is who I serve. And you
Yeah.
can do that through your strategy, your keyword targeting, your content, all of your messaging. It's very simple, really. Well, all you have to do is, instead of talking broadly about whatever service you're offering, talk about that service in the area you're servicing. What is
Mm.
it about Philadelphia specifically that your service might see a lot of? Maybe there's extra flooding,
Yeah.
or whatever. So you have to deal with a lot of houses that have a lot of floods in this certain type of way. And here's why all these houses are flooding. And here's what you're doing to fix
Mm.
those houses. Specify your content to your audience. And that's going to be the best way to let search engines know who your audience is, through your metadata,
Yeah.
which is things on the back end telling Google where you're located and who you're servicing. Plumbing services in Philadelphia, heating
Yeah.
services in Philadelphia.
Gotcha.
Easy way for them to identify that this is your service and that's it's for.
So that is super helpful. And I'm curious, right? Because you've done this for the past few years now. What has been your biggest success stories?
We have we have quite a bit. So there's two specifically that come to mind. Um, and I welcome anyone to visit SEOlocale.com and check out our testimonials and case studies. But
That's
um, there's one who is a dentist. They're in New Jersey. They had one practice.
Hmm.
Now they have three practices.
Nice.
But they were extremely calculated in everything. I mean, they knew how much money they were spending on every campaign, who they were targeting, what the keywords were. They knew, every single
Yeah.
thing. So it was easy to be successful with them when you know exactly what your KPIs are and who you're targeting, and you're
Hmm.
calculated in how you're spending your dollars. Um, there's another company. This was more on the paid side, but there was a company that was doing about $1 million. They're an electrical supply company.
Okay.
They were doing about $1 million a year in sales, and just by optimizing those campaigns, tripled that. No
Wow.
problem.
Wow. That's awesome. Wow. Now I'm curious, right? So you give us some really good gems about SEO. For someone who is like a owner, maybe thinking about getting into SEO marketing for their business, how should they prepare for someone like you to work with them? Like what would that look like?
If you're starting a business and you're just getting off your feet, one of the most important things you can do is build a website. And the cost is probably going to seem daunting at first because it's a few $1,000s.
Yeah.
Do not cut shortcuts. Don't get someone on Fiverr to build it on some crappy website builder.
Yeah.
Get a WordPress website. If you want to save some money, you can build it on Wix or Squarespace. The only
Mhm.
caveat is you don't technically own your website. You own your
Mm.
domain name, but you're technically renting the website from those companies. If
Gotcha.
you build it on WordPress, you own it completely and you have all the flexibility and functionality in the world that you would possibly want. But it's probably going to cost you three, four, $5,000
Mhm.
at estimated average, to build a website, which is tough
Yeah.
for a business. But no matter what you do, you're going to want a website because that's how you can start to build your foundation. And I always tell
Okay.
clients, if you can just if you wrote your own content about the services that you're offering and you spoke to your client, it's probably not going to be nearly as bad as you think for
Mhm.
search as you think it's going to be. Even though you might think like, I'm not a writer, my grammar is horrible, I can barely speak English, whatever it is, I I promise that business owners use the keywords that they want to
Yeah.
target on naturally. Just because you can't talk about what you do without
Yeah.
using the keywords,
Okay.
that you're going to target. So get a website up, get some good content on there, start to build that, and then start thinking about, okay, what is my marketing budget? Whatever
Mhm.
it is that you want to do, if you want to do this, start to save up for it,
Okay.
especially for things like SEO, um, that you know are going to take some time.
Yeah.
If someone comes to me and says, I have $2,000 to spend on SEO, I can't really help that person, most likely.
Mm.
It's just not enough time for me to really be
Yeah.
able to help that person.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
someone comes to me and says, I saved up $12,000 for 2024 for my SEO budget, I can help that person.
Gotcha. Wow. That's super valuable because I think that's a lot of people because you hear these terms or you meet agencies all the time, but if you're starting out and you're not prepared for it and you just, oh my God, I'm gonna get all these leads. After 2 months you didn't get anything and you don't have any money left, you're like, oh, this doesn't work. But it's just you
Mhm.
weren't prepared for it, you know. So I
Right,
think that's
exactly that.
important. Now we talk a lot about SEO, but I want to talk a little bit more about your company, right? Because you built a whole business around this. Tell us more about that, right? How's the business structured? How big is it? What's the team look like? You know.
Yeah, what a ride it was. Um, so yeah, I started in 2017. It was just me.
Mm,
But I always knew my partner Nick joined on about a year after I started it. I knew he was going to join. He was one of my best friends before I started it. He was my mentor. He taught me pretty much everything I know about
nice.
SEO. Um, so he came on about a year later, and right as he came on, he was just like, "Dude, we got to get an office." And I'm like, "With what money?" We had like 12 clients. Like we weren't setting the world on fire, but we got an office. Um, he throws it out on social media that I'm with SEO Locale, COO. All of a sudden, just like that, we had like 40 clients.
Wow,
And then that's when we just like hit it off and went like next level.
that's awesome.
Um, so it was just us two until November 2019. We
Mm,
hired our first, or no, 2018, hired our first employee.
okay,
Then we hired our second and then our third. So now there's about 14 of us full time,
rats.
three part time.
That's awesome.
Um, and I just spent the last couple months significantly building out our paid search team. So we have a crew.
Nice. So you
Yeah,
guys
and
are
we're all
ready for
totally.
big things.
Yeah, we're ready. Actually, I mean, we're looking at possibly some new office space. So,
Nice.
which is kind of like office space. What is that? But
I mean,
yeah,
I'm looking at the beach in the background. So
no, you can't beat the beach. That's what I'm saying.
no, that's amazing, man. Congratulations. What
Thank
has
you.
been throughout that process of building the business, right? What has been maybe two or three of your biggest lessons?
Um, don't do everything yourself is definitely the biggest one. Um,
Mm,
and I don't just mean, you know, stuff in the business like,
yeah.
sales, strategy, implementation, all that stuff. That's enough work. I mean stuff like accounting,
Hmm.
insurance, legal advice, contracts, all of that stuff that I tried to do myself with like
Yeah.
rinky dink nonsense, which only gets you into trouble because you're never fully protected or helped, and they don't really care about what's happening to you. um, get yourself some help, get an actual accountant, get a good accountant, get some good legal help,
Hmm.
get people around you who can take all this crap off your plate, because you need to focus on everything that's going in the business. That
Wow.
was definitely number one, the best thing that I ever did.
That's awesome. So what are the other two?
The second thing I would say is building your team internally
Okay.
and having the ability, which to be honest, I still kind of struggle with, to let go and let them do what you hired them to do.
Yeah.
If you're going to hire someone to do estimates for you,
Yeah.
don't tell them that it's wrong and then do the estimate yourself. Otherwise, there's no reason to hire them in the
What's the
first
point of
place.
hiring them?
So, I hired an SEO team. Nick hired our development team. We hired our content team. We got our social team together. We hired all these people because we trust them to do what they
Mm-hmm.
have to do. We let them go. We let them do
The
what they
thing.
have to do. Of course, we know what's going on. We know what
Yeah.
they're doing every day. We know where they're at with all their campaigns, but I don't need to spend my day doing every single keyword research that's already been done, or
Yeah.
all of the strategy that's already been done. I don't need to spend my time because I got the team in place to do it for me, which lets me focus on business development, which is
Yeah.
what you're supposed to do as the business owner, is developing the business.
100%. Now with that said, being able to have the team in place, I'm curious, um, what's that like when it comes to building the culture, right? How do you build that internal culture as you grow this team?
I love that question, because to me, culture is the most important thing.
Mm-hmm.
I've never ever hired someone because I had two resumes in front of my face, and one said I was a 4.0 at Princeton and I'm a computer science major, whatever. And the other one said, I'm a high school dropout and I've
Mm.
never had a job in my life. I've never hired because of those things. I don't really care about anyone's resume. I don't even look at it when I interview people. Um, the only thing that an interview might do is be like, okay, it seems like this person may have some analytical background. So they might
Mm-hmm.
be able to do well working in Google Analytics. Whenever I talk to someone, I want to know who they are. I want to get an understanding of how they're going to fit with everyone. Are they going to
Mm-hmm.
be a hermit? Are they going to be outgoing and everyone's going to like them and they're going to get
Yeah.
along with everyone? Are they going to be an asshole?
Mm-hmm.
Those are the kinds of things that are most important to me because SEO really, you could teach anyone SEO. I can teach you SEO. I can teach my neighbor SEO.
Yeah.
Anyone can learn SEO. People hire me because they don't have the time for it. Like I said,
Mm-hmm.
you got to hire people around you to do all the crap that you don't have time to do. Um, so it's really important that the people you're working with are good people. They're
Yeah.
willing to learn. They're willing to expand. They're go-getters. Every single person I feel in at SEO Locale wants to do their best to be their best and get to the next level. They all want to make as much money as they can. They all want to run their own agency. They all want to be let everyone know that they know more
Yeah.
about everyone else. And that's why I think that when we have team meetings and we brainstorm and we come together, they're able to come up with a lot of different ideas to make
Mm.
something better.
I love it. I love it. So to kind of wrap things up, what is that one small biz tips you would share with any entrepreneurs or business owners listening to this pod? That can help them.
Already business owners, again, I think the best advice I could give anyone is to just get help. I know it costs money and that's scary, but you have no idea how much time that you waste doing
Mm,
crap that doesn't help you grow the business until you don't have to do it anymore. And then
mm.
you're like, oh my God, where did all this time come from? That is honestly some of the best advice that I could give. Surround yourself with the help and focus on your business. And if you're great at what you do, you're going to be successful.
Fantastic. So how do people get in touch with you and your team if they need help with SEO? They're like, hey, I'm ready. I got 20 grand. I want to get this thing popping.
Yeah, anyone who's interested in SEO, even if you just want to learn a little bit more about it, honestly, contact me, seolocale.com. Mark, M-A-R-C, at SEO Locale.com. My cell phone, 215-801-9427. Happy to do free technical audit, give you an understanding of what your SEO landscape currently looks like and where you might be able to improve. I do it pretty much all day, every day. So seriously, no obligation or anything.
That's awesome. Guys, check out Mark. He is freaking awesome. As you can tell, he know his ish. So reach out to him and thank you for jumping on the pod.